So hi, everyone. Welcome to the Harambee Park Phase 5 Community Meeting Number 1. I'm Amy Lene, the project manager from the Boston Parks and Recreation Department. I want to thank you all for coming tonight. I know you're giving time from your schedule, so we really appreciate that and having you here with us. I don't think we have any elected officials or staff, but if anyone is on the call, feel free to raise your hand if you'd like to say something. Next slide, please. So I just have a few quick items to go over before we start our presentation. We are recording this meeting. That way it can be posted to the project webpage. We should have that up in about a week. And that way, if folks want to review the meeting again, you can do so or share with anyone who wasn't able to attend. And we will put the link to the project webpage in the chat. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Michael. He's on it. Let's see. I will say interpretation was not requested for this meeting, but we do offer translation and interpretation services free of charge. So if you know of anyone who might benefit from that, feel free to let me know. Actually, go back.
Sorry.
One. No, it's okay. So we encourage everyone to share questions and comments either verbally or in the chat. You're also welcome to reach out to me directly via email if you want to provide comments that way or discuss the project further. And we've got, I think, my email in the chat. Next slide, please. So in a moment, our design team will start a presentation followed by a listening and discussion session. So if a question comes to mind during the presentation, feel free to add it to the chat and we'll address it after the presentation. If you'd like to speak during the discussion session and you're joining via Zoom on a computer, just use the raise hand button and we'll unmute you. And if anyone is calling in on a phone, use *9 to raise your hand. And once we call on you, use *6 to unmute and to mute again. Next slide, please. So we'll start with an introduction of the project team and an overview of the schedule. Our design team will share an overview of the master plan and work that was done previously at Harambee Park and the phases that have been completed to date. And then we will share the Phase 5 concept plan, and this will be followed by a listening and discussion session. And then we'll go over closing remarks and next steps. Next slide, please. So once again, I'm Amy Lene. I'm the project manager from Boston Parks. Also joining us from Parks, we have Michael McMillan, our community outreach coordinator, and Michael's moderating the meeting for us tonight. Asia Wotring, our Mattapan liaison, is not able to join us tonight, but she is a great resource for community concerns. And then Weston and Sampson is the landscape architecture firm working on the project. And so joining us, we have Amanda Gall and Tongyi Zhang. And then our schedule. So this is the first community meeting for the Harambee Park Phase 5 project. We're planning to hold a second meeting in November to share a final concept plan. And then during the winter, our design team will develop the construction documents, and we're targeting a construction start in June of 2026, and then a fully completed project in spring of 2027. And then the estimated cost of construction is 1.615 million, and that includes the courts and an additional piece of work at the east end of the park, which is a path connection. So we'll show graphics of that during the presentation. Next slide. So this is just an overview of our approach to open space design, which includes community input, such as this meeting tonight, safety guidelines and regulatory guidelines, the City of Boston priorities, and the Parks and Recreation goals. And next slide. And those City of Boston priorities include delivering exceptional constituent services, green and growing, family friendly, closing the racial wealth gap, and a city that is healthy and safe. And the Parks and Recreation Goals include creating spaces that are accessible and available to all, spaces that have a diverse, balanced, and efficient mix of uses, a process that includes meaningful and inclusive community engagement, spaces that incorporate adaptive and resilient landscapes, and last, promote connections between spaces and people. So with that, I will hand it over to Amanda from Weston and Sampson.
Hi, everyone. So I will go through where we started at this process with the master plan and then all the way up to phase 5, which is where we are right now. So back in 2016, Weston and Sampson did a master plan for all of Harambee Park. The site was originally designated for all active recreation by Frederick Law Olmsted back in 1892, and the master plan focused on maintaining that original intent and mending it with the current needs of the community. So the result is a combination of improved active and passive recreational amenities, including an improved accessible pathway system, various recreational sports fields and courts, as well as open lawns, plaza spaces, and improved entrance nodes. So the circulation played a huge role in the overall layout of the park, with connections between Blue Hill Ave, Talbot Ave, Westview Ave, Joseph Lee School, the Community Center, the Boys and Girls Club, and the Tennis Center. So a 3-tiered hierarchy of asphalt pathways was introduced, ranging from 6 feet wide to 10 feet wide. The primary pathway is 10 feet wide that traverses the site from east to west to serve as the spine of the park. The secondary pathways are 8 feet wide, and they traverse the site from north to south at key intervals. And there's also an inner perimeter loop pathway that's 8 feet wide and would be set back from the streets along Blue Hill Ave and Westview Street. And the loop will eventually allow walkers and joggers to travel a distance of about 1.25 miles within the park. And lastly, the tertiary pathways are 6 feet wide and provide intermediate connections between geographic areas and recreational facilities. So another important part of this master plan was the incorporation of trees along the paths. This not only will provide shade and wind protection, but also adds a vertical dimension to the park, which previously was lacking. So due to the size of Harambee, which is approximately 44 acres, a phasing plan was implemented. The phases have slightly shifted since the master plan, but you can see there are a total of 6 phases, 4 of which are completed. We're now starting phase 5, which includes two areas in the park, one along Blue Hill Ave, and the other is a pathway connection along the Joseph Lee School to Talbot Ave. This phase will not only improve vital connections, but will also include 2 new tennis courts, a netball court, plaza space, and potential for improving parking. So I just want to quickly go through the previous phases to recap all of the great projects the city has been completing at Harambee. So this was phase 1, and it was completed in 2018, and it includes a universally accessible playground for ages 2 to 12, 2 basketball courts, entrance improvements, and the start of the circulation system within the park. And these are some finished photos of the project back in 2018. And then phase 2, which was completed in 2020, includes 2 multi-use rectangular fields, a gathering space, a walking oval / event space, as well as establishing the rest of the main central pathway running east to west throughout the whole park. This phase also includes a large bioswale to help mitigate and clean the stormwater outfall that outlets into the park. These are some finished photos of the bioswale and the fields and a portion of the walking loop. So then phase 3 was completed in 2021, and it includes a fenced-in football field, a practice field, workout nodes, and the continuance of the interior circulation system, including the inner perimeter walkway that goes along Westview Street. These are some finished photos of the football field, the entrance node. Um, so then we get into phase 4, which was completed this summer. We had the ribbon cutting. This was renovated cricket fields with one regulation size men's cricket field with lights on the left and a regulation women's size cricket field on the right. The inner loop pathway system was also continued along Westview Street, and it goes up to the main pathway spine over here. So now focusing on phase 5, which is why we're all here. Currently in the area along the Blue Hill Ave, there's a netball court, shuffleboard courts, and an access drive for the tennis center. And in the Talbot Ave area, there's an existing sidewalk that's in fair to poor condition with a lot of vegetated overgrowth and obstructions preventing accessibility. So you can see some of the existing photos here. This is a view from that pathway going to Talbot Ave. And this is where you're going to end up on the street on Talbot Ave, the netball court, and then just the connection between the park area and where the access drive is for the tennis center. So as you can see, the court area abuts the phase 1 playground, um, which also included the beginning of the inner perimeter loop. So this path leads directly into the phase 5 project area as indicated in the pink dotted line. One thing that will need to be studied during this design process is the crossing of that inner perimeter loop with the main entrance drive to the tennis center, which will need to remain as that's crucial for the clubs. That's this line here. We'll have to eventually cross the access drive there. Also in this graphic are the main entrance nodes, which are indicated with the yellow dots. The entrance to the central pathway spine is located just north of our project area along Blue Hill Ave. And the second area on the right has two main entrance nodes. The lower one is the end of the central pathway spine and is a connection point to the Joseph Lee School. And the upper node along Talbot Ave is an area that can benefit greatly from improvements as it currently can go a bit unnoticed. So that does lead me into my next slide, which is just stressing the importance of this connection. This is a crucial path for the Franklin Field housing residents to access Talbot Ave and the community center and the MBTA station or MBTA stop that's right around the corner. So we have two concepts prepared, both of which have elements that can be incorporated into the final preferred concept. So none of these are cemented in any way. We're here to really gather your input and thoughts. So this first one, it includes a potential for a parking area, which would abut the courts. This would create the need for us to raise the grade so that this would all be one level area. As you can see, there is a multi-foot grade drop between this area and where the netball court currently sits. So this would also, by raising the grades, affect more of the trees in this area, which, unlike the rest of the park, have very mature canopies and are well established. So we would really want to try our best to save as many of them as possible, but also parking is sparse. So providing an opportunity where we could improve the ability for users to park closer to the courts, we wanted to provide as an option. We also would love to create these connections to the existing central spine of the park and also continue this inner perimeter loop with an entrance node that helps separate the access drive of the court area of the tennis center to the perimeter walk. And eventually this perimeter loop would continue in a later phase. So in this concept, we have the netball and the tennis courts abutting each other with some retaining wall / seating areas over here for viewing. And then on the right over here, we're improving the connection from the newly paved pathway from phase 4 that leads from Westview Street and then continues this connection up to Talbot Ave. And we'd also be redoing the fencing along the courts as it's currently overgrown with a lot of vegetation and providing some lights and a camera at this location as well. And then the second option, we removed the formal parking area in lieu of planting more trees and saving more of the existing trees. And we're placing the courts in locations that avoid the tree roots in general. So you'll still have a lot of shade while playing on the courts. These would sit a little bit lower at the current elevation of the court. And then we're also providing seating on the west side of the tennis courts and then in between the two courts as well, while also still providing the access to the central pathway that goes through the entire park. And then on the right, we have reduced the fencing that runs along the basketball courts to just be behind the hoops. The rest is pretty much the same with some entry node adjustments, but we really want to make it look more like an entrance at that corner because right now, especially with all of the overgrowth, you're kind of just don't even see that there's a pathway there and you just go along the sidewalk on Talbot Ave. So we would still be doing the camera and the lighting at that location. So these are some examples. On the top left is the entrance node from phase 3, and on the top right is the entrance node that was in phase 2. And then the lower right is just an example of the type of lighting we've incorporated throughout the park. And we also wanted to just mention that we're going to be doing fencing around the courts. So definitely would love to hear some of your opinions on that. And lastly, just as a security slide, we're showing where all of the cameras are throughout the phases. We've been implementing these cameras that get views of all parts, all crucial parts of the park. And the only remaining one left, well, actually, there's one left to do in the lower corner, but in this, at the Talbot Ave corner, will be the second to last camera that we need to add there. And of course, there are 3 blue lights installed along the spine pathway. All right, so I will hand it off to Amy to open up the floor. And can also talk about next steps too.
Yeah, and thanks, Amanda. And I did get some questions in the chat. So we can start to go over those, but also want to open it up if anyone wants to speak. And I think one thing maybe I forgot to mention or explain, because it probably seems a little odd that we're doing these sort of 2 separate projects simultaneously. The reasoning for that is the path connection by the Lee School is something that the Franklin Field residents were interested in, and we actually got a CPA grant to do that work. So it's a separate kind of funding source. And then the netball and tennis courts project was already kind of on the schedule to happen. So, there's some efficiency in doing them at the same time, even though they're kind of disconnected at opposite ends of the park. But that's the reasoning for that, because it is a little peculiar. Let's see. So I can start going through Charlene's questions, unless anyone wants to speak or throw a question in the chat. So one thing she brought up is security and preservation. I guess there's been vandalism on the existing poles. Um, so she's requesting high fencing with locked access points to protect the court. Um, so we are definitely adding the fencing and a gate. I think on the question of blocking the facility, it's not typical for us. I think I can investigate that a little bit more if it's um, uh, permitted and the permit holder gets access to that. So I will get back to you on that particular question. Um, Another question was about bleacher seating, and I think in this option,
Mm,
Amanda, we
Sorry.
are showing bleachers, right?
Yep, between the two courts. The first option, we do not have bleachers though.
We do not. Okay, but I think, yeah, we can certainly
We can work some in if that's
include that.
desired.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Changing areas and question about changing areas for players. That's a tough one because I think we don't tend to build. There's sort of restrictions on what kind of structures or can we build structures in a park, um, for a number of reasons, and also some, I think, security concerns about having spaces like that. So that one might be a tough one to achieve. But potentially maybe there's some partnership locally that could help with that. Boys and Girls Club as an option. And then a question about porta potties near the court. So in a lot of cases in our parks, um, permit holders or leagues do end up renting a porta potty. There's some like actually at the cricket fields, they have a couple over there. So we can talk about that more, and what that might look like. Let's see. Accessibility. So the new path connection by the Lee School, will that be ADA accessible? So players and families and community members of all abilities can enjoy the space. And yes, that will definitely be an ADA accessible entrance. I think throughout the park, I believe we have pretty comprehensive compliance with ADA standards. Amanda, you can correct me if
Yes.
I'm wrong, but I think we've been able to achieve that. Um, and then court lighting, I know that that's come up before, and we didn't include court lighting here. I'm I'm not sure that the budget would accommodate that, but we can look at that. Um, and then I think the last question was about maintenance, and that certainly can be a challenge. And Charlene, we certainly appreciate, I think, your, coordination with us on when issues do come up, maintenance issues. And I know there's been, vehicles parked on the court, which is not not allowed and not what we want. So I appreciate your eyes on it. That's certainly a helpful way to get things done, and putting in 311 requests for maintenance issues. They actually, they do track those and respond, I think, as quickly as they can. So, um, I think that's sort of what we rely on in a lot of cases, but, also just happy to hear directly from you if there's issues in the future. And then, so schedule wise, I see, Charlene, your question about the court being under construction in June 2026. So that is the plan, but part of the schedule, and you can tell me what your typical season is, like timing wise, because as we try to get that school pathway done, we're definitely trying to get that specifically done during the summer so that we're not impacting the school operations. But, I think we have a little more flexibility, or, ability to shift things around for the courts. So if there's is your season like typically right in the summer, right when we're looking to start construction? Because that's something that we can look at in more detail if it's right at that time.
Well, we normally would be at the court anywhere from like mid-May to mid-September.
Okay.
So it would be in the middle of the season for us. So
Yeah.
that was just a question I had, so we can try to figure out some alternate space so we can still continue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I know Kathy was looking at that in some cases where there could be an option for a court.
Yes, I actually did some research, Janelle and myself. So we looked at several locations, and oh, Kathy is awesome. She sent us all the information because
Okay.
the court has to be a specific size. And she did do in-depth research, and she did follow up with us. So the options that we posed were just not, the sizing was not doable.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and I mean I can talk with her more about that, and then we can look at this schedule too. I mean, if it's maybe there's, I don't want to, I hate to start right when your season's like kicking off, so we can try to figure out some work around there and see if we can not totally shut you down for the summer, or at least provide an alternative location.
Well, we're going to be at the Mildred. We practice indoors in the fall and the winter. And we're going to be at the Mildred starting October 1st. I know they have two basketball courts right outside the Mildred Community Center. I'm not sure if any of those would be, we can probably earmark one of those as an alternate or different option to not using Harambee for summer 2026. So, I mean, that's just something we can look at. But we're indoors until the end of December, and then we start up again the beginning of February indoors, and then we start outdoors in May.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. Okay, no, that's helpful.
Another question I had as well too. In the event, is there any ADA compliance relative to the new or the phase 5 option for Harambee? Because we have some people who would come out and support us, just support the girls, and we want to make sure that they would be able to access the whether it's the seating that's available or, be able to watch the games.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I don't know if you want to talk to that point, but we certainly, yeah.
We would make sure that every amenity is accessible by ADA
Okay,
standards.
thank you.
Yeah, so like with the bleachers, like there'll be, either a space, adequate space for, wheelchair access and to pull up next to it, path widths and all that. And I think, I mean, maybe that is also a question around like parking options, trying to think about maybe someone being able to pull into that space closer to the courts.
Yeah, maybe like a compromise between no formal parking and a lot of formal parking.
Yeah. Yeah, do you all typically park on the Blue Hill Ave or?
Well, there's a little area right close to the courts. There's a little stone wall. So we normally park along that section.
Yeah.
Another question I had as well too, I wanted to, is there gonna be like a space for when we do get a porta potty? So the last time we had a Fun Day game on July 12th, we had a visiting team from Connecticut. And so we had to get a porta potty, but getting it in a space where it's sitting level was a little bit challenging. So I'm not sure if this phase 5 is going to give us an option where we would have some place that, or a space that we can place a porta potty and it not being topsy-turvy.
Oh, yeah, that's important. Yeah, so typically we will put in a pad, a level concrete pad for that purpose. And also thinking about, when they bring it in or when they pick it up or, clean it, they'll need that access to it also.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, we can certainly, design for that and think about that where that makes the most sense. So yeah, that's a good point. I know I hate leaning porta potties. It's really tough.
Okay, Amy, this is
Yeah.
Gertrude.
Yeah. Hi, Gertrude.
Hi, how are you? Hi, everybody. Okay, I'm speaking, well, we have 3 clubs in Boston. So Charlene is speaking for her club. Okay, I'm speaking for the Boston Netball Club. I don't know if I think Shamrock is on too. So in Boston, Boston Netball Club tried to start late April, in the middle of April. Once it's warm out, we go out to play netball. Okay. And so we usually go right through to April to October. This year, we haven't been practicing that much out there now because of all the kids running around and carrying on and stuff. So Boston Netball Club and Shamrock, we've been using place in Jamaica playing right now, but we want to get back over to that court. So all the games we've been playing, we've been hosting them over in Jamaica playing, and we do travel. Okay. On the party now, when I have a team coming in, we have with the portable party, we always have to rank them because I know the cricket club rank theirs too. And they always say if they're renting, let us know ahead if we want a party that they would get it. Since they order so much, we get it cheap with them. But the one I usually order is the one for law. Okay. That's what I usually do. And so this year we'll be practicing indoors. We're going to start sometime in October. We plan to start indoors outside, indoors inside with the other teams that we're practicing with. So when you're speaking now about the other court, well, my question to you all, now I'm not jumping around. This is my first meeting with you all. So when I'm hearing now about another netball, is there going to be another netball court over by the tennis, over by the Lee School? Is that what you're saying? Is that what I'm hearing?
Actually, we were looking at like existing parks in the kind of general vicinity.
Uh-huh.
Like actually Robert's Playground was one that we were studying the facility if there was an option to add it there. And I think what was the other one? Because I know the footprint of a basketball court is not as long, right? So if it's a standard basketball court, that's
Yeah,
not always an option, right?
our court is 100 by 50.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm glad y'all do. I will try to look around and see where I can find. I have some people work with me to look around. So once you're doing it in Boston, then I'd be happy to do that with you all
Okay.
and get back
Yeah.
to you, Amy.
Which park or where were you playing in JP? Was it at a park
But
or
this
was
is
it
a private park. This is where we're
okay.
playing in JP is the British School. They have that.
Oh,
That's
right.
privately. That's private.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Because
Okay.
right, that's by the British School we practice right now because of
Yeah.
all the trouble. And if we could get something like even in the South End, if we find a court in the South End, that'd be good too. Seeing we have people coming from all over. We have people from Waltham. We have people coming from Springfield. We have come from all over. So some players are saying, I don't want to come to Dorchester after what happened the other day on the court. With the kids carrying on, they're walking over the court and stuff. So that's
Mhm.
something we're trying to work with some of them with.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can certainly share that input for other, projects. Like, are there opportunities for court spaces in South End or other neighborhoods?
So when you speak about next to the Lee School, it's right behind the Lee School, am I correct?
Yeah, so it's
Because I
kind
know
of
there's a graveyard over there too, not around there.
Yeah, so this is not far from there. So coming right off of
Okay.
Talbot Ave, and the community center, and this
Mhm.
sort of
Okay.
actually goes into the but into the sort of back of the school.
Because years ago we used to play on Talbot Avenue. That's where the basketball is at. We used to
Oh,
have our,
okay.
Mm.
yeah, we used to play there years ago. So
Hmm.
we have that court built where is that right now. So you're not going to remove the court there now, though.
Yeah, these courts we're not working on yet because I think they'll actually be this area may be part of like another phase, like phase 6.
Uh-huh.
So the only change here is that we're gonna take that. There's a fence along this path that's like really overgrown with vegetation, and the path itself is quite narrow. So we're gonna just shift um, this is like the existing path looking towards Talbot Ave, and it's just very very overgrown. And so instead of having this whole area kind of enclosed, it'll just be like an 8-foot panel, chain link panel behind the hoop so that it stops the ball, but it's not like actually enclosed. Um,
I think what with the bass, I know the guys come and they jump to pull the ball down. One of my questions is, I know this is not for you, Charlie, and I mentioned to Charlie, that we should take the net off. When you finish practice, take the net off because the guys, when the ball go through, they pull it down, break the rim. That's what's going on. So that's another thing. We shouldn't leave no net on the out there at night because that's what
mhm,
happened. That the net is going so fast. The rim is
okay.
going so fast. Okay, but we're gonna still have the netball court over there next to the lead school.
Those basketball,
The netball court next to the back, it may still be there. It's not going to remove.
those courts aren't going to be removed.
They're going to,
They're not going to be removed.
or they're
No.
not going because I know a couple of years ago that was one of the phrases put to take away.
Oh,
Um,
well,
the
or I should say, yeah, I guess the master plan, I think maybe we go back to that
Yeah.
image, but
okay,
yeah, I mean so that was developed in 2016 or released in
right, they were yeah,
2016.
16,
And
18.
so they did show some changes to that area,
Mhm.
but I
Uh-huh.
think to be honest, I mean this phase is sort of a ways off, and I think we'll probably relook at what this area shows because there's a lot of mature trees in this area too, and I think you know our thinking around trees is kind of shifted to where we want to keep as many as we can in place. So I expect that phase to look a little different. So they're still showing courts there, but they've changed the location slightly. Um, but I don't think we would eliminate having courts at that end,
Because
but
I
we'll
was
make
even
it.
thinking about down by Madison in the back there, that yard by, I know the police park there a lot, park their vehicle back there now too. That's something I want to take a look and see what's down there.
Wait,
But Reggie Lloyd School, the Madison Park
oh,
School
okay.
in the back
Uh-huh.
there. Yeah, I was even thinking about that too down there.
Okay.
Okay. I'll get back to you, Amy, and let you know what I could find or what I think is interesting for you
Sure.
all.
Yeah. Yeah. Email me anytime or call me. Let me know.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, and I think we have a comment in the chat or question from Catherine from the tennis center. So the a valid question about the entrance from Blue Hill Ave. So I think that um and maybe we go back. Sorry,
Yeah.
Amanda, we go back to that
That's
graphic, but
fine.
yeah, I think maybe the graphic um shows like it looks sort of new asphalt there. I don't know that well, I should say we haven't determined yet if that's getting repaved, but I think um the access would, generally be open. I think we'll have to think about like logistics, construction logistics, um, in more detail, but I don't expect us, to be closing that off or impacting that, or if so, very minimally, but we can coordinate on that with you all, at the tennis center.
I didn't even think I need, yeah. right.
Yeah, I
And the
mean, we
trees
might,
around
mm,
the trees around there too. Like we never had so many trees over there by the fence and stuff. They need cutting and trimming.
mhm.
Yeah. But I could deal with a part with that, the guys in the yard. They're
So
very
we are doing a tree assessment, which
uh-huh.
will not only look at their health, but the species, how big they are, if they're invasive or not. So um, we'll get a good idea of the trees that should stay and shouldn't stay.
Mhm,
And we will be getting rid of a lot of the invasive
mhm.
overgrowth that's occurring in that area.
Because around the court now where there are trees around there, they have people that sleeps in there and I know they've been
Yeah.
Yeah,
pushing them out. Yeah.
yeah,
So if it could be cleaned better, we wouldn't have that problem.
definitely.
Yeah.
So, some sort of maybe specific questions for folks about the two different layouts. Is there a preference to have like the courts with some separation? So I think it like in concept two, there's, it's a little bit of a um some yeah, space between them. Is there or versus like the shared fence? Does
But
anyone
the
have
two
sort of
courts, me to separate the two courts, like
well like the
more
netball
space
from
in
the
between for
tennis?
the net.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that because I could see if we have a little separation, maybe put a fence if you want to, because playing the netball and playing the tennis, the ball gonna go over, and once if we have a game or practice, to be balls to be going over a different court.
Yeah,
Am I?
if we separate them, we would definitely enclose each one with their own fence.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
Separation.
there
Okay,
shouldn't
so
be a. It's up to you all about that. If you're gonna take the money and put someplace else. Mhm.
Charlene, I see your question about option for two netball courts and one tennis court. Um, I think that the driver for the two tennis is to meet requirements for BPS tournaments. And I thought I saw someone on from BPS, so feel free to um, make a comment. But I your comment about an additional netball is interesting because now I can see there's, plenty of people played, so there's quite a bit of demand. I'm not
The
I
sure
can
this.
netball
speak to
is
that.
okay. Go ahead. I'm
Oh yeah,
sorry.
I know. Hi Andy.
Hi. Um, so I'm here on behalf of BPS Athletics. Um, and I think the background is that we've never had a tennis center that is a BPS Athletics tennis center. We've relied on sportsmen's over the years. And at one point, they had 7 outdoor courts, which were heavily utilized for spring tennis, which is played outdoors. They put a building over 4 of those courts, and they're now in the process of finishing up transforming the other 3 into 4. Um, and so the hope is that eventually there'll be the 4 outdoor courts they're transforming now, 2 that they're hoping to uh, transform within the next couple of years, and then these 2 courts, and then you would have 8 courts um, for utilization for high school sports in the spring, and that's a completely transformational situation there because you theoretically could actually hold 2 practices for 2 teams at the same time and actually do 2 matches. You need 5 courts for a match, but you can manage with 4 and then put the 5th match on when the first one ends. You also would have opportunities for JV matches, which happen at the same time as the varsity. So This is part of a major solution to a lack of courts for high school tennis in the spring. And that season lasts, it's weekday afternoons from the third Monday in March until early June. That's when BPS would be seeking access to all the courts I've described, access from sportsmen's and access from the city.
Great. Thank you, Andy. That's helpful. Yeah, I mean, I think overall in the city, there's certainly a lot of demand for facilities, which is good. People are active and getting out there.
I just want to say that netball is being grown now throughout the United States. And many states now, we have netball. And netball was first started here in Springfield when basketball was started. So I know a lot of people are not familiar with netball, but that's what it's all about. You try to bring it back and make sure it stays here. Because in Europe, it's big games going on over there. And we have girls from my team that goes to trials. And we have a couple that going up in a couple of weeks going to trials too in Florida. So we have to have the courts to for our girls' fit. Mhm. I'm fine. I'm happy y'all are trying to help us in every way you can. Appreciate it, Amy and the others.
Absolutely. Looks like Charlene has her hand raised.
I just really wanted to say I have another engagement, so I'm gonna have to jump off this call, but I just wanted to say thank you, Amy, and especially to the city for the investment in Harambee Park, because we're really looking forward to partnering with you guys and, you know, making this vision a reality. But I have to jump off, and I just wanted to express my thanks because I appreciate the time and the effort. And I'm sure we'll keep in touch via email. And if anything changes, and if there's another meeting, we'll also jump on as well. So we
Great,
appreciate it, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming, and I'm sure we'll be talking regularly. So look forward to working with you, and appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye. So there are how many courts? Once we find a field, we find with you all to make another netball court in a place. Once we have the size and availability. Is that what I understand clearly?
So we'll certainly investigate. We'll take all the comments, we'll see what is kind of feasible for us to do. But this is really helpful feedback to hear. So, we can look at the direction of the project and see what we can
Money
get.
there.
Yeah, what we can do. Exactly. But
because even
great.
in South Boston too, there's a lot of girls out there that play netball, and they're going to basketball court too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And I think,
Right.
there's in a lot of cases throughout the city, there's opportunities to have sort of dual function courts. So it's some cases, they can accommodate more than one program. Certainly needs some scheduling and some coordination, but I think it's doable where there's the space and sometimes that can work out well. So
I appreciate everything y'all are doing 100%. Thank you all.
yeah, well, we appreciate you being here and giving us your thoughts.
Once you have another meeting, just let me know and I'll be on it.
Okay, excellent.
I work 311. I usually off on Wednesday, but I made sure it was off tonight to be at this meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate it 100%.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, this is Oslin from Shamrock, and I would like to thank you guys also.
Oh, thank you, Oslin.
I appreciate all your help. Thank you very much.
All right, well,
Anything
everyone,
else?
yeah, I mean, I think we can wrap up unless there's any other comments. Also happy to, again, like email me with any thoughts or call, you're welcome to call me or email. I think we'll probably have, continued discussions about this. We'll take the comments, we'll refine the layout and the plan, and then we can share that back with you. Probably it'll be a November meeting. So we'll let you know when that's scheduled. And yeah, we thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you
And
all.
thank you for your time.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you very much. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks,
Good
everybody.
night.
Thank you.
I have a nice weekend. Thanks again. Bye.